What's happening, fandoms? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here,
we react to music videos and shows.
Today, we're checking out Eric Voss from New Rockstars breakdown of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, which we just did our reaction for yesterday. And we're excited to see all the details we missed. The Star Wars universe is so rich with history and culture, and I'm certain that Eric is going to give us a lot to think about.
Stuff that we missed.
If you're not already a fan of New Rockstars, go check them out. Link in the doobly-doo. Let's go.
Doobly-doo.
New Rockstars, I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, Chapter 17, The Apostate. From Purgle hyperspace whales to creepy culty baptisms with Jimmy Kimmel's nephew. Dang, Eric, it feels good to be back in Dave Filoni's Star Wars.
Jimmy Kimmel's nephew?
And yes, I look and sound different right now because I'm shooting this in the New Rockstars Burbank office, but in future weeks I'll be back in my little hole. Hey, by the way, you can watch my behind-the-scenes initial research process for this breakdown in yesterday's live stream on the Deep Dive channel, and Tommy and I tackled all the big questions in our Wookiee Leaks after show. I love talking Star Wars with that guy, but right here, let's break down all the Easter eggs, references, and visual details they might have missed. Because yes, we do have some translations of alien languages. And the best way to support the network is to grab one of our Mando-inspired shirts.
I love that.
Shop. Okay, the opening Lucasfilm fanfare, as usual, shows a series of droids in metallic helmets with the glow of red and blue lightsabers waving over them. We see Darth Vader, R2-D2, and then the helmet of Fennec Shand, an Imperial pilot, Bo-Katan's helmet, IG-11, a Speeder-Reich stormtrooper, the Armorer, and then Din Djarin. Interesting. Compare the Armorer with Din Djarin. I believe that the Armorer may be the villain of this season. But over all this, we hear some hammering. The sounds of the Armorer working the forge in a cave. This, of course, is a favorite Hephaestian archetype of Jon Favreau from his first Iron Man film, and the sounds of hammering played over the credits of Tony Stark's last MCU movie.
Oh, that's right. That's why I was going to say that.
Yeah.
But here in Star Wars, it starkly reminds us that this series is, at its core, the story of the Mandalorian people and the cultish creed of the Watch. It's as much about hammers and helmets as it is about sabers and starfighters. And the imagery of this opening scene is shot like a sacred religious ceremony filled with symbolism and magic. Now, if you first thought that we were actually watching a flashback to Din Djarin's baptism, that may have actually been by design. The actor does vaguely look similar to the young actor they used for young Din. It speaks to the cyclical timelessness of these Mandalorian rituals. By saving these people, adult Din Djarin is saving his past self. He is intervening in nature's cruel attempt to stymie the Watch's succession. The Armorer pours in this tempering liquid to cast the Beskar, and it causes a turquoise shimmer in the water, giving some mysticism to this clan's ritual. It's like the anointing with oil in a Christian sacrament, a sign of a higher power at work. Favreau did confirm that to contrast the Eastern philosophical underpinnings of the Jedi Code, for the Mandalorians, they pulled from a variety of religions, including Western warrior codes like those of the Romans. And the Romans were warriors who were overtaken by a fanatical religious faction within Rome, a little cult called Christianity. Hey, everyone, I'm a baptized Catholic. I'm poking some fun, but also, what's the difference between a religion and a cult? A couple hundred years in Irish.
See, I thought it was baptism.
Okay, the mythosaur is framed in the background with 10 flame jets of the forge, as if this mythosaur itself is being roasted in a ceremonial pyre. The 10 jets may also reflect the 10 red petals on the branch of the House Vizsla sigil. As the Armorer hammers away, this mythosaur watches from the background, overseeing everything like a crucifix hanging on the wall in the background of a church. Ludwig Göransson's collaborator Joseph Shirley returns to do the music for this season after doing the music for the Book of Boba Fett, and his percussion beats intensely, matching the hammering. The Armorer paints this child's Beskar helmet blue. The color coding seems to adhere to each clan within the Watch, and as we see with Paz Vizsla, the Vizslas wear shades of blue. The procession is flanked by banners, one showing the mythosaur, the signet of this Watch overall, and then on the left, the symbol of House Vizsla. At the bottom of that banner is that reverse F-looking symbol that's also on the sigil worn by Boba Fett, the sigil of Jaster Muriel, that was Jango's mentor. And this white helmeted one in the procession carries this same flowered branch on a red cloth. Paz Vizsla's son, we think it's a son, Ragnar, is played by Wesley Kimmel, nephew to Jimmy Kimmel, and he's the same kid from some of the in-universe commercials in Marvel's WandaVision.
That's why he looks familiar.
Voiced by Jon Favreau, but underneath the armor, he's played by actor Tate Fletcher, who played an on-camera role in the pilot. We do see some other other house banners on display, a green armored Mandalorian holding a red and white banner that might show the animal sigil of Clan Eldar. So what we are seeing here is a type of baptism. Thus, this boy submerged in water, like in Christian baptisms. And all this is to show us why Din Djarin bathing in the living waters of Mandalore is such a critical renewal. This is the moment that all Mandalorians in the Watch close themselves off from the world. The armorer recites a pledge, and the boy repeats, "I swear on my name and the names of the ancestors that I shall walk the way of the Mandalore, and the words of the creed shall be forever forged in my heart." And the subtitles reveal that the armorer said the way, capital W, of the Mandalore, apostrophe in the middle there, which refers to the ruler of the Mandalorian people. Also, the creed shall be forever forged. Of course, the concept of forging and armor coming back into their words.
Very interesting.
When the armorer places the helmet over Ragnar's head, it seals and locks with this whistle sound effect, the same sound effect that the Darth Vader mask made when it sealed over Anakin's face in Revenge of the Sith. So this encasing isn't necessarily a good thing. It's really a human face being entombed in metal. But the ceremony gets interrupted. Before the boy can promise to never remove his helmet, the beast, or fate, intervenes. So is the Watch legitimately cursed? Or is it just their strict ritual to shield their faces and wall themselves off from all other connection that is actually cursed? Paz lays down the heavy repeating blaster fire while others fly onto the beast's back to slap on the charges. And I love this shot where the camera is mounted on the helmet, blaster scar visible. And notice on this one's shoulder plate, the W-shaped Death Watch sigil. This is based on the beast's Shriek Hawk. Unfortunately for them, their excommunicated apostate has to come bail them out. Din Djarin in his modded N1 Naboo starfighter that he got in the Book of Boba Fett. And he fires what? A proton torpedo at the beast, the same projectile that Luke fired at the Death Star. In the cave, the armorer repeats what she told him on the Glavis Ring World, as in, "Bitch, I already told you once, get!" Now, in Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, the armorer explained how on the night of 1,000 Tears, the Empire bombed the planet of Mandalore with these fusion bombs that apparently turned the sand into this turquoise glass, like the sand of the real world's Trinity atomic testing site. Din shows a shard of this encasing a metallic plate that contains an inscription in the Mandoa language. Now, it's upside down from the armorer's point of view. If you flip it, on the 4th line, you can make out "you out of the field," which is part of the King James Bible Old Testament Exodus Book 10, verses 5 through 6. And credit to General Anubis on Reddit for being the first to translate this fully. "And they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth. And they shall eat the residue of which is escaped, which remaineth unto you from the hail, and eat every tree which groweth for you out of the field. And they shall fill thy houses, and the houses of all thy servants, and the houses of all the Egyptians, which neither thy fathers nor thy fathers' fathers have seen since the day that they were upon the earth unto this day." And he turned himself and went out from peril. Yeah, it's a bit odd for Star Wars to have real world Easter eggs like this, but they've also referenced Indiana Jones on Andor and E.T. in the prequels. This is referring to the 8th plague of Egypt, when Moses had God send locusts upon the crops when Pharaoh refused to free the Hebrews. I actually referenced the Prince of Egypt in my deep dive live stream, and this is a part where it's like, "Thus saith the Lord, thus saith the Lord." Awesome movie. This is the plagues of Mandalore, a similarly cursed people seeking relief from forces trying to smite their firstborn sons, which actually might have inspired the beast's crocodile jaws, like the crocodiles of the Nile that the slave children were thrown into by the Egyptians, and the croc-headed Amet being the Egyptian devourer of the dead. But are the Mandalorians the Hebrews or the Egyptians, the slaves or the oppressors? Sure, they're diasporatic wanderers like the Hebrews were, but they were forced out of their ancestral lands due to, some believe, their own folly. But we could see Mando as Moses, who leads the people through the desert, but never himself makes it to the promised land. That was the job of Joshua, his successor, which might be who Grogu is. Though Grogu is kind of the bastard of the basket. Notice Grogu is wearing chainmail under his robes. This Beskar chainmail was given to Grogu as a gift by Din Djarin in Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. Grogu chose this instead of Yoda's lightsaber. While in hyperspace, Grogu gazes up to see a giant shadow keeping pace. These are the Purrgil, a semi-sentient species of hyperspace whales who first appeared in Star Wars Rebels and carried off Ezra Bridger and Grand Admiral Thrawn into hyperspace, never to be seen again. Rebels ended with Ahsoka reunited with Sabine Wren in search of Ezra, and in Mando Season 2, Ahsoka revealed she was still searching for Thrawn. So this sighting of the Purrgil here is a key indicator that we are getting closer to Ezra.
I said there was a whale, remember?
Purrgils compared to the Starfighter.
Yeah, they are huge.
Going on with Grogu here. The blue light, the whale shadows, just makes it seem like we're underwater. So Din Djarin is aiming to re-baptize himself this episode, but Grogu is going through his own aquatic-style baptism, reaching out to these whales, bonding with them through the Force. We did see in the Boba Fett finale that with that Rancor, he is able to connect with creatures like this. These whales could be telling Grogu where Ezra is. How does Grogu respond? no thanks. He goes down and cuddles with his Mandalorian papa. He doesn't want to follow a Jedi path right now. This is the way. So they return
He's
to Navarro.
scared of him, I think.
There's a lot more greenery. Remember, Navarro has a volcanic surface, and in the overhead shot, you can see the town is on a lava field. So the greenery is similar to how after a volcano erupts in the real world, it enriches the soil and allows dense forestation to form. Compared to season 1, Navarro has undergone a dramatic upgrade.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer.
Front gate, which is no longer crumbling. Grogu also has a new bassinet with a headlamp light on the side. They pass some Nuna roasting over a fire. These are the common delicacy in the Star Wars universe that you can actually get at Galaxy's Edge. They taste like turkey, because they are, I guess. There's also a COO series cook droid, like the one we saw in the Book of Boba Fett, and another upgrade from before when Kowakian monkey lizards were being roasted by Jawas on a spit. Now, wild Kowakian monkey lizards are populating the trees.
There they are.
Moving without puppet hands up their butts. The protocol droid tells Mando, yes, since this is a volcanic area, they have geothermal hot springs. Greef Karga will later push these on Din as well. Another example of Din Djarin being lured by the waters of other places on his voyage to the living waters of Mandalore. This episode really is just a journey to find the right bathtub. We see this band with a couple Twi'leks and a Gran race. We pass a Mon Calamari. Perched on the statue of IG-11 is a long-tailed bird. Thought that was interesting. But IG-11 is totally Captain Morganing atop some stormtrooper helmets. Also interesting how some guy keeps a small version of that reptilian bat that attacked him in season 1. He's domesticated it. It's a pet on his shoulder. You know, like those cool guys who walk around with parrots? But when Grogu and Din look up at the statue, I love that they animated Grogu's shadow separately to sell the fact that he's floating. But we also see that the streets are now paved with cobblestones, which they were not before. Greef Karga is now the High Magistrate. Two droids trailing him to carry his cape. Part of his finery and jewelry is a bit much. I'm worried about this.
That's what I said.
This is fun horizontal wipe edit, matching it on the motion of Grogu force pushing, spinning the chair around. Just a nice bit of visual flow there. But it's also interesting how Greef tells Din he can hang up his blaster when later we realize he really wants Mando to be his marshal, the head of security. So Greef is still being a bit deceptive. The guy keeps a golden bust of himself in his office. I mean, come on. The pirate Vane is a Nikto played by Marty Matulis, a very physical performer with a number of roles with heavy prosthetics, including, trigger warning for some body gore here. Actually, I'm gonna blur some of this out. The monstrosity from Smile last year. The school with a protocol droid teacher looks like the same school where Grogu spent a day in season 2 when he snatched those blue cookies, and the tension escalates. Yeah, I love how on the word soft, Mando leans off the tree and you can hear his hard Beskar scraping the bark. We get a classic Western gunslinger pose on Greef as he reveals his blaster on his hip, just like the shot of Han Solo when he stepped into frame to face Jabba in the spaceport in A New Hope. Greef says Cara Dune has been recruited by special forces and that Moff Gideon is facing a New Republic war tribunal, which could be an analogy to the Nuremberg trials that prosecuted war crimes committed by the Nazis. They dismantle IG-11's statue to try to rebuild him, and we hear Taika Waititi's voice return as he defaults to his original programming before Kuiil reprogrammed him to be a nurse. Yeah, IG-11's actually reverting to the last thing he said before Mando shot him down to save Grogu in the pilot episode. He crawls toward them like Terminator to Sarah Connor, and I love the stop motioning movement. It just looks like the old school design that always looked really cool in the 80s Star Wars films, but definitely makes him look real creepy too. Mando tells Greef that he cannot handle IG-11 with his limbs if things go scud. Scud being an in-universe term Palimoto in season 2 referred to a skank and a scud pie. There's also the character of Scud, the disposable assassin, Rob Schraub's comic about a malfunctioning robot assassin who does kind of look like an IG droid. The Anzellans are here. They're all voiced by Shirley Henderson, who also voiced Babu Frick in The Rise of Skywalker, and this is the actress who played Moni Myrtle. So the Anzellans are renowned droid repairmen because their eyes can spot super tiny details in the wiring. Mando sits inside this tiny workshop looking like Gandalf and Bag End and the Fellowship of the Ring.
That's true. I was going to say the same thing.
Is the Huttese word for bantha fodder, so our man does speak Huttese. And Grogu hugs the Anzellan, and just love one puppet hugging another puppet. Real Miss Piggy vibes here. And I just love that they had to build one merged puppet to pull this off. The pirates return in the asteroid field, and Grogu tucks into Din's bandolier strap to stay snug. During the chase, the N1 legitimately disappears for a beat, and synced to Joseph Shirley's music and a blast of Ludwig Göransson's flute. With each of these hits, Mando takes out each pirate one by one.
Yeah, I love that flute strike.
Into Gorian Shard. His pirate ship looks like an old Republic Thranta-class heavy cruiser. In the concept art at the end of the episode, we see this pirate ship has its own badass launch bay at the top of it. Pirate King, Gorian Shard, one of the most amazingly designed
I've ever seen in Star Wars.
It's played by Nonzo Anozi, Zarazuan Daxos from Game of Thrones. Din boosts out of there, piloting to Kalevala, the home world of House Kryze, mentioned a few times in Clone Wars but never shown in live action until now. This rain-soaked castle strikes the sharp angles, evoking Dragonstone from Game of Thrones. And into yet another soaking, the wrong dousing of water on his path to the right bathtub. He even carries on with Bo-Katan in the next scene completely soaked. This great hall is empty, and it's covered in the banners of the Night Owl owl sigil of Bo-Katan, which is pretty sad considering it seems like Axwos and Koska Reeves abandoned her when she didn't come back with a Darksaber. Kind of like she threw her own birthday party and no one showed up. Bo-Katan lounges casually, bored, despondent in her throne, her leg pointing toward this interesting carved tableau of her roaring ancestors. At the top of that dog pile is one with a sword. Really, the only Mandalorian known with a sword historically is Tar Vizsla or someone else from House Vizsla in his family tree. I wonder if this tableau shows the war of the Kryze household.
Interesting.
The other side, a tableau that would be to Bo-Katan's right, might show another tableau that shows them finding peace. War on one side, peace on the other, like the US presidential seal with the eagle. One side with the arrows representing war, one side with the olive branch representing peace. And in this case, Bo-Katan's leg would be angled to the war side. We never see the other side of the scene, maybe because Bo-Katan is unable to see the light. Now, when these two first met in season 2 on Trask, the positions were reversed. It was Bo-Katan who wanted to go to Mandalore. Din Djarin was the one who believed it was cursed and poisoned.
That planet is cursed. Anyone who goes there dies.
But now it is Bo-Katan who says, but we know there is some Mandalorian magic. We just don't know if the magic is a blessing or a curse. Are they the chosen people or the doomed people? We will find out next week when Din heads to the ruins of Sundari. Hey, a reminder to subscribe to our new channel, The Deep Dive, and you can support us by grabbing some merch at nerdriot.shop. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVoss, follow New Rockstars, and subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching, bye.
Wow, he talks so fast.
He does. He's got to get through a lot of information in a short period of time. I liked the detail that he pointed out of all of the water references.
Right.
The continual different ways in which Din Djarin is getting soaked in various waters of various places. I thought that was a really cool detail that I didn't really consciously
pay attention.
notice.
Yeah. From like the very beginning where they were doing
a literal baptism, right? And then,
now the shower when he the rain when he was soaked.
Yeah, all kinds of different places they were talking about water, like the volcanic springs and
when they were making the helmet, there's water too, and all that stuff. The minerals,
so much different references to water, and then of course what he is seeking is the special water that's in the mines the living water, I think it's called. He's supposed to go like immerse himself in the living water in the mines of Mandalore. So there's a lot of references to water. I thought that was really interesting.
Right.
What did you think of the references to Western religions?
That's pretty interesting Catholicism. But I knew it all along because at the very beginning that's what they were portraying baptism. So I'm like, I go, what has to do with the Catholicism? You know what? It's actually perfect timing because it's 40 days, the Easter.
Right, Lent. The Lent period right now.
The Lent period.
Yep. Yeah,
so it's just a perfect timing, how they release this. I don't know, it's maybe coincidence.
No, it's definitely not coincidence. They write these things in on purpose to represent things. They're intentional.
Yeah.
And it takes someone who has a keen eye, like Eric or whatever, his team, to find all of these things and make those connections, especially when they specifically had that text from the Bible literally translated into Mandalorian on that little fragment.
Yeah, and in all the stuff, all the pictures that they have from the Catholic system, all the Catholic stuff, the saints and all that stuff.
Yep.
So I'm like, I go, wow, they really go pretty good on details on this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for tuning into our channel. Don't forget to, if you would like to see Mandalorian, it's on Disney Plus. Sorry, it's not going to be provided for you here. You got to go to Disney Plus. Thank you for your love and support to our channel. We really appreciate you guys for your like and subscribing to our channel. And if you like what we do, share with your friends and family. Thank you again, and see you in the next video.